You know, just Frank means so much to so many people. I've said it before. You know, members of law enforcement, members of the military. You know, I don't mean to repeat myself, but you know, people have gone to fight for their country with the Punisher insignia on their battle armor. People have died. It's an enormous honor and an enormous responsibility, and an enormous honor and enormous responsibility to come on to a show that's that good and to you know, the bar set super fucking high. Sorry for cursing. Sorry, very high. The bar was set high. I can do that.
It's the last man leave there.
Right about this thing. But yeah, you know, look, I think for me with Frank, also it's just you know, just being a father and a husband. You know, it's just I get him. You know, I just get him. And it's just you know, I really understand and behind him, and my heart really goes out to him.
Eldon and Charlie, you guys being a part of Daredevil on Netflix, it's such a cool way to watch it because we don't have to suffer waiting a week to see the next episode. How do you guys feel about that format and how it's kind of blowing up and becoming the norm now? Like, this is how people are watching TV shows more than ever.
Well, yeah, I mean, the people at Netflix are really smart, and they, you know, have great programming, and I think it's also, you know, it's also that you can watch it whenever. It's not that you just can watch it right away and binge it, which is cool, but it's up there always. You can always just go and watch it, which is my favorite part of it. You know, movies were always a big deal for me, and I loved watching them over and over again. And now it feels easier to do that with TV shows, so that's pretty cool.
I also think from an actor's point of view, because these episodes are written in a way where they understand the audiences are going to consume them one after the other, there's less material in each episode which is kind of designed to remind people of the previous episode, which for actors is always tough to deal with because it's kind of expositional and it's not easy to act. And of course with these Netflix shows they don't need to worry about that. So those 13 hours, when you read them, they read like one story, like almost like a 13-hour movie.
Well, being on Netflix, we get a maturity level that I don't think, you could not pull this show off on a normal network. There's just no way. So I think it's great that Netflix has picked it up in the way that they're presenting it, because we get that gritty comic book show that, I mean, this is how Daredevil needs to be.
Yeah.
Needs to be right. And John, without giving away any spoilers, can you tease anything, or is there anything you can tell us about what we can expect from the Punisher having his own thing? No, nothing at all? Okay. I tried. I'm trying to get something. All right, listen, I want to make this about you guys, because I know you guys have questions. We're going to start it off. We've got 2 microphones. I'm going to go to the left first, and then we'll go to the right. So let's start over here. We'll take our first audience question.
Sorry, my voice is out. This is a question for Charlie and Eldon. I know how difficult it can be to play someone with a disability. So how do you get into character or learn how to be blind, or like in the Hunger Games, you were mute? So how is that as an actor?
Yeah, cool. Really good question. You know, I think first and foremost it's important to get that right, for that to be as authentic as it can be. One of the great things about Daredevil is that he's immensely important to people who have grown up with any disability, particularly people who are visually impaired. You know, I was introduced to a gentleman who's called Joe Strecci. He's been legally blind for 20 years, and I just I spent a great deal of time with him, and I filmed him. I filmed him do like household chores. You know, I had him wait on me basically, and you know, just kind of looked for any, you know, just researched him and worked with him and filmed his eyes a bunch and tried to figure out, you know, how I could best represent what I was witnessing with him, and just did as much, you know, as much of that work as I could. And then, you know, still today, when a scene comes up where something is presented that I haven't maybe thought of, you know, I'll text him and we'll talk and we'll figure it out.
Cool. Thank you. I actually have one quick, probably never been asked. Do you want to pet my lizard?
You have a lizard?
Yeah, bring it over here.
Hi, Jasper. Thanks a lot.
I'm sorry, we're out of time. I'm just kidding.
My question is for Charlie. Before I get to it, I actually had somebody mistake me for you when I was in the line outside.
Bring the lights up. Let me see this.
House lights up? Oh, here it comes.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
My question was, with the suit in season 1, since the mask didn't have any eye holes in it, did that ever impede any of the stunt or fight work that you had to do?
Yeah, you know, it's surprising. That material was a special gauze that you could see out of quite well. But, you know, we had to be a little bit careful. And I clocked a couple of stunt doubles on 2 occasions. But they were, you know, they were very nice about it. Yeah, it was tough. You know, the funny thing is, it's with the mask, with the suit that I wear now. It has proper eye holes, but of course the lenses are red. And the weird thing about that is red confuses your depth perception. So in a way, that stuff's even harder to see through. But yeah, good question.
I was curious, because I was wearing a black suit yesterday, and my mask was actually made out of a set of leggings. But I have a hard time reading and seeing details through that mask, so I was wondering, would you be able to fight well in something like this?
Yeah, it was rough. Good question though, thanks man.
Right here.
So you guys were the first Marvel on Netflix. When you took that, I mean, you guys were awesome, so everybody followed. Was there any pressure that if you guys weren't awesome, it would screw up everything else?
When they told me they were doing Daredevil, they told me they were going to do the 4 shows, and then they were going to make the Defenders. And I do remember thinking, we'll see. You know what I mean? If this sucks, that's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess there was a little bit of pressure, but I don't know. I kind of like pressure. Makes me do better.
Thanks.
Right over here.
Hi, I have a question for Charlie. What does it mean to you to be a representative of the blind community, especially in such an awesome way as being a superhero?
Oh yeah, it's such a tough. Thank you for asking. It's such a really tough question. You know, because of this job, and don't get me wrong, I was an actor who auditioned for a part. You know, it was nothing more than that. But because of this job, and because it's become obviously very important to me, and I now am affiliated with the American Foundation for the Blind because of it, and I've been doing some work with those guys. It's kind of been, in a weird kind of way, this job has been the gift that keeps on giving, because I've been able to kind of, you know, get involved in the community and meet loads of people. I've been to some schools and hospitals around the New York area and Philadelphia, and, you know, met some kids and young adults who are growing up with visual impairment. And you know, I hate for it to sound like I'm this do-gooder going around doing all this stuff, but it's kind of been a byproduct of getting this lovely acting job, and it's just been really, really heartwarming and inspirational and difficult at times. You know, it's quite confronting. It's easy when you don't have a physical disability like that. It's easy to grow up in completely oblivious to what people have to deal with and the kind of adversity they face in their lives. And so it's been nice to kind of, I don't know, be in some ways affiliating with the community that helps those people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Right here.
My question is for John. I want to ask him what it was like to work with Ben Affleck on the accounting. Someone that.
Dude, you were awesome in that movie. I texted you.
He's cool, man. You know?
Any animosity with them being Batman?
Say who what?
Any animosity with him playing on Team DC and you Marvel?
No, man, no. He's cool. Look, he's good. He's a great director. You know, he's a great director too. So it's great to have that. But it's so pathetic. I hate saying this, but I actually have not even seen The Accountant yet. You know? I've been working, man, and you know, we're shooting Punisher now, and I've just had literally no time. But thanks, man. But yeah, no, Ben's
By far one of the best movies I've seen this year.
Say who what?
By far one of the best movies I've seen this year.
Thanks, man. It's really cool of you to say that.
All right, what's up? I'm Jeff. What's up, Matt, Frank, Shane, and Foggy? Yeah, my question's for Charlie. And well, first of all, y'all do a great job on Daredevil. I love their Punisher, everything. But yeah, my question's for Charlie. I just have a question about your accent. How easy is it for you to not speak with it in Daredevil when you're acting as Matt? And can you answer my question without your accent?
Bullshit, dude.
No, I'm way too self-conscious to do that, man. No way. You know, the truth is with accents, there are people, in my experience, there are people who can do accents like that. They can tell jokes and tell stories, and they can listen to a guy from South Africa, and they can mimic him immediately. And then there's someone like me who attempts any accent, and it sounds like I'm doing someone from Pakistan. And I really, really have to work so hard at accents.
Can we get one sentence? Just one sentence?
Just trying to make my city a better place.
This isn't really like a question, more as like a reflective, like something for y'all to talk about for a second. Just a lot of the parallels on the show, like taking Daredevil for example, he's a blind Catholic man, like struggling to find justice in a world where he may be blind, but he's able to see more than anybody else in terms of justice-wise. Same thing as Punisher, how he was a regarded hero in the war, coming back home, then he has to face, he loses his family and everything, and the whole thing gets flipped out upside down on him. And where Homeboy over here is just caught in the middle of all of it. I just really like to hear y'all's thoughts on all that really quick, and how that helps you, interpret the characters.
Yes.
I mean, look, just because I don't want that guy to sit down. I mean, to be fair, you kind of said it all, man. But, in all honesty, you talked a lot about those characters, particularly with Frank and Matt. And one of the great things an actor gets to work with is inner conflict. Any character that is that feels like they have, and this is very human. I think people are like this. We simultaneously feel very differently about the same thing. You know what I mean? You simultaneously can love and hate someone. Do you know what I mean? And with Matt, for example, he believes in the law, but he's also going out at night and kind of making a mockery of the law. And then he gets to go home and sit with those feelings and sit in that conflict and feel that guilt and that shame. but also be kind of addicted to it. And that, as an actor, that's a dream. You know, it's awesome to have that stuff to play with. So great question, man. Thanks.
That's great.
Hi. Do you think Daredevil would feel intimidated working with all these other heroes with super strength and everything?
We'll name them.
Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist.
I mean, maybe that's why he befriends them. I don't know. But you know, Daredevil's badass, man. He's quick as shit.
My question is for Charlie and John. Whose side do you think Daredevil and Punisher would be on in Civil War?
There's no way to win this.
Captain America.
David asked me, man. I don't have to answer this. I'm a Charlie, man.
Over here.
Alright, I love the show, it's incredible, you guys are great. First, I just want to say for my question, I think Foggy and Karen should be together. I think I'd be totally cool with that. I've got a lot of fan fiction. My question is actually to all of you, but especially John. I mean, you guys got to deal with a beautifully dark show. I love how dark it is. I love the subject material. But y'all have some scenes, and John, when your character Frank, when he breaks down finally, we get to hear the story about his daughter. Like, when y'all have those scenes, how you come down from that energy afterwards?
Well, look, man, I think it's a lot of what old boy who said he stumps everybody with is kind of what he said. You know, I think that, you know, there are these characters that are written in a very complex and rich way, right? So there's the show is bold enough to take the risk to let characters go. To go all the way in one direction and then sort of give you an opportunity to bring it back a little bit. I don't know if that really makes sense, but you know the breakdown in Daredevil that they gave Frank, you know, that monologue in the graveyard was, you know, one of the biggest gifts I ever got, you know, and to have that scene and to be able to do that with Charlie was just such a gift because I thought that it's a real window into where he's at, and I think once you do that, you can let him, you can be bold enough to completely turn your back on the audience and literally, you know, step on people's necks, you know, while they're begging for their lives, and go as bold as you want to go because you have that, right? And but as far as like coming back as an actor, I think each of us is so different the way that we do it, and fortunately or unfortunately for me, I think the job is to try to, you know, not necessarily, you know, come back all the way, you know, but to you know, for me, I feel like I kind of owe it to the guy to try to not come back and to try to, you know, experience and relive it the best I can under this umbrella of just monkeys who put on makeup and say lines for a living, you know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
No, it does. Like, is that really hard to deal with though? Like, after months of shooting that, like, do you have like the demon still on your shoulder, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like I said, you know, you know, like I said before, right? You know, this whole thing for me starts with being with family, right? And so, you know, your imagination as an actor. I don't want to be all inside the actor studio douchebaggy, but like, you know, look, man, in complete honesty, you know, your biggest tool is your imagination, right? So, you know, the love that you have, you know, for family, you know, the next step is to try to really imagine on what would that be like if they were taken from you? What would you do? What would that loss really feel like? And so I think that, you know, if you owe it to the people that care about this character. You owe it to the character. You owe it to all the different iterations of this character and the millions of fans that have been behind these characters to try to really live in that or feel that the best you can. So the goal, at least for me, is not to sort of come back. The goal is to get there and to get in it, I've said it before, I would do anything if I was the kind of guy who could just, eat a bunch of Chinese food and be at the club and then just show up at work and like do that. But that's not really for me. I'm not. That doesn't work for me. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you. Right here.
Love the show. Really enjoy it. Two-part question: is Carmen Electra going to be in the next episodes coming up? And are you going to defend Luke Cage?
Carmen Electra is definitely going to be, for sure.
No, I understand, but more episodes to come. The future.
You mean Electra?
Yeah. Electra, not
Carmen Electra's on Punisher.
It's okay. And what was the second part of the question?
You're going to defend Luke Cage.
Oh man, unfortunately, I can't answer either of them. Just because I'm not allowed to. What I can say is that I thought Electra did an awesome job. Elodie played that part. She nailed it, man. That's a really tough part. That's a really tough part to play, and I thought she captured the essence of Electra in a fabulous way. And those of you who've seen the very end of season 2, the door is open, man. This door is open for a return, so maybe we'll see.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, thanks, man.
First of all, I just want to say that John played the best Punisher so far. He was there emotionally, physically, in the perfect way. But first of all, I want to ask John, how was it to represent such an iconic character from the military personnel all around the world, especially U.S. military, such as myself? And how do you prepare yourself mentally to represent a character that had such emotional distress at that point in his life?
Thanks for your words and thank you for your service first and foremost, man. It's kind of just what I've been saying, I just don't want to be, But look, it is. It's everything. It's like the physicality and the emotional and trying to kind of understand his story where he's at. I've said it before. I think on Daredevil season 2, Frank. To me, he wasn't the Punisher. He was a man who's really reeling from this unbelievably tragic, traumatic. To me, that means I'm telling the truth. It's a lightsaber. Or it means like shut up, John. You keep repeating yourself. Anyway, I think that he was not a man who was concerned with cleaning up the crime in Hell's Kitchen or going after bad guys in any way. It was just very much a man on a mission and trying to find whoever was responsible for taking his family from them and killing them as brutally as possible. I mean, that's where he was at. And I don't know, man. I think that anybody in here with a family, I think you can. The kernel of understanding is in all of us, and I think that's what's so great about these characters is that there's a bit of all these characters in all of us. I really appreciate what you said. I'm sorry if I can't give you more of an answer. That's all right. Thank you for your service.
First of all, thank you for coming. I think it's fair to say all 3 of you are my celebrity crushes. My question is, do you have any funny stories from the set, or did anyone play pranks?
I got a story, actually. It's only because I was just remembering this when John was speaking so eloquently about the scene. when John was speaking so eloquently about the scene in the graveyard, that I mean, and really like one of the most beautiful. I feel very privileged to be privy to that acting tour de force that he displayed in that moment, right? And I'll probably remember watching him go through that experience of that scene for the rest of my career. When they were editing, when we were shooting the show, we were shooting like episode 8 or 9 or whatever. One of the producers was on set, and he said, "Oh, I just saw the scene that with you and John in the graveyard when he talks about his family, and there's a really beautiful moment where the camera's on Daredevil and there's a tear coming down his face through the mask, right?" And I remember thinking, I remember crying in that scene. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm a male actor, so that crying doesn't come that easily to me. So I remember, if I cried in a scene, I needed to be like a super close-up, everyone needs to know, you know what I mean? And I would remember if I was crying in that scene, and I was like, that's so weird. And then I remembered, right at the beginning of the scene, I had to carry this motherfucker from the bottom. Dude, I thought you were crying. I see that too. I was like, this fucking guy's got a mask on, man. You don't even need to do that shit. Here's what happened. I carried him up the hill 5 times in a row, and then I had to sit there and I was listening to his speech, and the sweat is pouring down my face. Right? And just from sheer luck, one of these droplets of sweat comes down the center of the mask. From under the mask, and it looks like I'm crying, man. I swear to God, if I ever win an acting award, I wish they played that clip, you know? Because it's sweat. Oh man, no crying.
Okay, my question is for John. How would you describe Frank's relationship with Karen Page?
Ooh. Wow. Man, first of all, let's just hear it for Deb, dude. She's such a gangster. She's such a complete joy, And I am allowed to say she's working on Punisher, which is like the biggest gift in the world, man. All of us know. It's just such a thrill, it's such an honor to be able to work with her. She's so smart, it's like scary, dude. But look, for me, what that relationship always was, I don't know if anybody else, who agrees with this, but for me, I always thought that, Frank looked at Karen, at her bravery, at her drive, her intelligence, her kindness. I think he always looked at her as the woman his daughter could have grown up to be. Yeah, I mean, she could have, that's what he would have hoped for her, and I always sort of thought that. But I think what's so cool is that it's completely unspoken and it's completely, there's no labels on that relationship whatsoever. It could really be anything, and that's what sort of keeps it, I think, alive and organic. And I really commend the writers for not trying to define it in any way, and just to sort of let these two people kind of exist and see what happens between us. It's a badass way to work, and I'm super grateful to work that way with her. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Hey guys, Charlie, man, I've been reading Daredevil since I was so young. I just want to say, man, you are Daredevil. Thank you. You are Daredevil. My question is for y'all, out of both seasons, what was y'all's favorite episode and why?
I think the last one, because I was super tired and I was ready to go.
Because, not just because he sat here, but, I really, in the first season we had the Nelson versus Murdoch, and, there's been some really wonderful episodes. I've enjoyed working on all of them, really, and with everyone, but I do think, and again, it would be very, very easy to make Foggy a caricature
You know, in the comics, you know, he's like, people talk about him as being the heart of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, but that's a really tough character because he's got a lot of jokes. He's often the light heart, the light comedy in a scene or whatever. But the way Eldon plays him, he plays him with such kind of strength and such truth and such honesty that it's I think we feel so much for Foggy, as well as enjoy his humor and enjoy the way he sees the world. And that's a huge testament to Eldon over there. So doing that scene, that episode where, yeah, and also Eldon gets a lot of shit, right? Because people come up to him in the street and they're like mad at him for being cross with Matt. Do you know what I mean? Like people come up to him and like, why are you so mad at your buddy? He's a superhero. You should think that's cool. You know? And he's like, I don't write it. What do you want me to do?
It's true. I do take a lot of shit.
Thank you very much. I think we have one or two more, so we'll do one or two more. Sorry, here.
Okay, first of all, thank you guys for the Daredevil universe that you guys have introduced us to. It is amazing. And my question is for John. So having worked on a set like The Walking Dead 2 and having worked on a Marvel set now, what are like the key differences that you see? And personally, which one do you think has asked you more of as an actor standpoint?
I mean, look, man, they're both full of badass people working their asses off, doing the absolute best they can, and what's also similar. I mean, they're very similar, you know, because what to me is absolutely true on both sets. At least when I was part of Walking Dead, I don't know, you know, I've been there a long ass time. When I was there, it was full of really, really good people. Really, really good quality people. They're still some of the closest people in the world to me. And that is definitely the case on the set of Daredevil. Good, solid, honest, kind, hard-working people. Good, solid, honest, hard-working crews. Everyone there working their ass off. You know, I will say, I think Daredevil was the most ambitious. I mean, they're both fucking awesome, dude.
My question's for Charlie. Matt Murdock is such a very difficult and complex character. Not only is he blind, he's a lifelong New Yorker. He's a vigilante. He's an athlete. He's a lawyer. He's struggling. He's Catholic. Which parts of his personality were the most difficult, and which ones were the most easiest for you to identify with?
Yeah, good question. Well, I grew up Catholic. So a lot of that stuff kind of came for free. You know, like all that sitting in my apartment feeling shitty about myself, I got that for free. As I said before, you know, the acting was really hard. I had to work really hard on the blindness. You know, actually, you know, forget about that. The hardest thing I have to do, right, is when Matt is either by himself or he's with someone who knows that he's Daredevil, he can operate like someone who is not visually impaired, but he would never need to look at something in order to pick it up, right? So there's tons of scenes where I'm in my apartment and I have to reach for a mug over here or grab something from behind me, but he would never turn his head to look for it because he doesn't need to, because he has a 360 radar sense, right? So we spent a lot of time with me kind of going, you know, and he would never do that. Matt would know exactly where it is. If the glass is on the table and he's looking over here, he would just grab it without looking at it. And you know, that's really tough. There's a scene in season 2 where I patch Elektra's neck up, and they put this special prosthetic on her that was actually kind of like rubbery, and I could actually, they wanted to see me do the suture, like put the needle through. And I was like, are you kidding me? I can't look, I'm gonna stab her. You know? So that stuff's really, really tricky. But you know, I hope I didn't make light of your question, but it's a good.
Thank you. All right, this is gonna have to be our last one. I'm sorry, guys. Right here.
First off, thank you guys for giving justice for the characters, especially Foggy. Infinity Wars, what do you guys want to see done? What was the question? Infinity Wars, what do you guys want to see done?
What do they want to see done with Infinity War?
Yeah. What do you guys want to
That's the upcoming Avengers movie.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that. Dope, can't wait, it's gonna be awesome. I'm sure I'll get invited to the premiere since I work for Marvel. It's one of the perks of the job.
So, what's going to happen is the Avengers are going to figure out that they can't solve the big problem. In come Matt, Foggy, and Frank Castle. Obviously, I'm not supposed to be saying this, so just keep it to yourself, but no one knows this yet, right? But basically, us three come in, we kind of save the day. Just say.
It's going to be on every movie block tomorrow.
And for those guys sitting down, you want to do just speed round, just ask the questions super quick. Real quick. And we'll one-word answers.
All right.
This ain't starting off too good.
Questions, right?
My question is, after the Defenders get together, do you expect any other characters to come in, mainly Ghost Rider, or any others?
Probably not.
No idea.
Okay. For both John and Matt, but remember the actor's name?
I'm not sure you guys understand the spirit of this. It needs to be real quick.
Really fast. Do you believe that in Hell's Kitchen you are not fighting but surviving?
Yes.
Great question.
What was your favorite fight scene to film?
The favorite one for me was actually the season 2, episode 3, where just because it was an homage to the season 1, episode 2, but I got to do more of it.
Prison.
This is for John. I'm an active duty service member, so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
For your portrayal of Punisher. Carried someone with me on several deployments, so it just means a lot to you.
That means a lot to me. I won't forget that, brother. Thank you. Thank you very much for your service.
My question is for John, and you worked with Leonardo DiCaprio on The Wolf of Wall Street.
Nice.
How hot is Leo on the scale from 1 to 10?
The headline, Frank Castle says Leo DiCaprio is a 10.
Okay, my question goes to John. So there's that meme patched around on Facebook about you going to the comic book shop.
No, you can't. You gotta stand up. You can't sit down.
Alright. Hey, I just want to say, season 1 with that fight scene in the hallway, that was badass, Charlie. That was badass.
Did this guy finish?
No, I don't think he finished.
Okay, yeah.
We can't add to the line, guys. We're trying to get through everybody that's here.
Yeah, so that meme on Facebook where you went to the comic book shop and the guy told you to read this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And he said, don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell him thank you?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. My dad is a huge fan. He couldn't be here because he had to work because we're going through a rough patch. So if you guys could just say hi.
What's his name?
Chris.
Let's do it.
What's up, Chris?
What's up, Chris? Hey, Chris. What's up? Go get him, Chris. Good man. Right here.
My question is for Charlie and Elton. Are we going to see any more of how when Foggy was really mad at Matt, are we going to see how their relationship has been progressing through that rough patch in the next season?
We don't know. We haven't read anything yet, so I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. Right here.
Hi. In the style of your character from Walking Dead, this is for John. Can you say the line, you can't protect them red?
What? Shit.
You can't protect them red. It's a mixture of your character from Walking Dead and your character from Daredevil.
Protect them red.
Go.
John, it was previously stated that you are the best Punisher so far. How do you compare yourself to other great actors that played the part?
He's way better, dude. Come on. Way better. Thank you.
How do you compare yourself to other great actors?
It's an honor to be in their company.
Nice one. So we know your favorite scene to watch. What was your favorite scene to play, and what was your favorite scene to see one of the other guys play?
D'Onofrio.
Yeah, shout out to Vincent, huh? Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing here. Hopefully I don't get hit, but I've not seen one episode of Daredevil. I'm working at Whataburger, so right there, those waters came straight from me. Nah, but the only reason I know is because of I think your name's John. Is that it? The only way is from Shane. That's the only way, man. I think you're super cool, and you did a real badass job, and it's super raw, and I loved it.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Thanks for the last question.
What was your favorite piece of literature? Just a real quick question.
My favorite book is The Razor's Edge by Somerset Maugham.